Gopi Jana Baba Girivaradari Yasaranandana Yamuna Priya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srimad Haribo. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Strater Satis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Strater Satis Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Karta Vaishnavrini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sri Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kundu Radha Kundigiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Ganga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7, text number 28. Shamarasika, you want to do the Sanskrit?
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Tasmat bhavavadhihi kartavyam karmanam trigunatmanam bijanirharanam yogaha pravaho paramodhiyaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Tasmat, therefore, bhavadhihi, by your good selves, katavam, to be done, karmanam, of all material activities, triguna atmanam, conditioned by the three modes of material nature, viji niranjanam, burning of the seed, yogaha, the process by which one can be linked with the Supreme, prava, of the continuous current in the form of wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep, uparamaha, the cessation, diyaha, of the intelligence. Translation. Therefore, my dear friends, O sons of the demons, your duty is to take to Krishna consciousness, which can burn the seed of fruit of activities artificially created by the modes of material nature, and stop the flow of the intelligence in wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. In other words, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, his ignorance is immediately dissipated. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vibhicharena bhakti yoga sevate saguna samita yatan brahma bhutya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. By the practice of Bhakti Yoga, one immediately comes to the spiritual platform, transcendental to the actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. The root of ignorance is material consciousness, which must be killed by spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. The word bija niranam refers to burning the root cause of material life to ash. In the Mendini dictionary, yoga is explained by its result. Yoga purvarta samakato sangati dayanam yuchasu. When one is put into an awkward position because of ignorance, the process by which one can be freed from this entanglement is called yoga. This is also called liberation. Muktir yata rupam sarupena visvasitihi. Mukti means giving up one's position in ignorance or illusion by which one thinks in a way contrary to his constitutional position. Returning to one's constitutional position is called mukti, and the process by which one does this is called yoga. Thus, yoga is above karma, jnana, and sankhya. Indeed, yoga is the ultimate goal of life. Krishna therefore advised Arjuna to become a yogi. Tasmad yogi Arjuna. Lord Krishna further advises in the Bhagavad Gita that the first-class yogi is he who has come to the platform of devotional service. Of all yogis, he who abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Bhagavad Gita 6:47. Thus, one who always thinks of Krishna within the core of his heart is the best yogi. By practicing this best of all yoga systems, one is liberated from the material condition. Om Agana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Jaksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual masters kindly opening our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So we offer our most respectful and humble obeisances to the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So I was thinking how Srila Prabhupada is so clear in his vision. Srila Prabhupada's vision was so deep, on such a high and deep platform of transcendental knowledge and realization. It's one thing to read these literatures or memorize them, but it's a different platform to actually deeply have a change of heart and actually imbibe these instructions and these platforms of devotion that are spoken about through the beautiful pages of these books. Srila Prabhupada was on a platform that was so far beyond most devotees that he was able to not only intellectualize the teachings and bring souls from deep ignorance to a spiritual platform, but he was able to deeply explain and bring forth the platform so that we could actually see and be in touch with that platform of pure devotion. This is a rare person. We can be around this beautiful movement of devotion. We can hear, we can chant, but we may not be on a very high elevated platform or deep spiritual understanding, such as myself. Prabhupada was just such a different, such a great spiritualist. Plus, he had such knowledge of all these different scriptures. He could quote from so many different places and teachers, platforms, and books, and then put the whole picture together to make a present day presentation so that those souls that are in this day and age could understand and get uplifted so that they could see beyond their conditioned vision. In the explanation, it says mukti means giving up one's position in ignorance or illusion, by which one thinks in a way contrary to his constitutional position. Returning to one's constitutional position is called mukti, and the process by which he does this is called yoga. Thus, yoga is above karma, jnana, sankhya. Indeed, yoga is the ultimate goal of life. Krishna therefore advises Arjuna to become a yogi. Lord Krishna further advised in Bhagavad Gita that the first class yogi is he who has come to the platform of devotional service. When I first met Srila Prabhupada, I was reading an impersonal Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada told me to bring it. And he showed me where the author had stated Krishna's words, and then in the purport told exactly the opposite of what Krishna had said in the translation. But we see that when Prabhupada, and then he gave me his Bhagavad Gita and said, this is Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Krishna said it, as Krishna meant it. So it seems like, oh, there's so many Bhagavad Gitas. Yes, we're just one Bhagavad Gita. But actually, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is from such an advanced devotee who knows what Krishna was speaking to Arjuna about. Not only does he have it memorized, knows the Sanskrit, can translate it into English, but he also knows what Krishna was trying to explain to Arjuna. And thus he's able to give a purport for our conditioned situation in this day and age and explain what Krishna was trying to get Arjuna to understand. It's so different than what we see in general. So many people are taking the Bhagavad Gita or any literature that's from the Vedas and writing commentaries with very little realization, actually. But Prabhupada, he was in a disciplic succession, and all of these books written by these great souls are bona fide, and they're taking us on this, like what Prabhupada talks about is yoga. They're bringing us to the lotus feet of Krishna. They're helping us get rid of this past conditioned consciousness, which is opposed to our constitutional position of devotion. And it's bringing us back on the path of devotion to bring us to a devotional platform. There's different instructions that lead us in the same direction. Oops, could everybody mute, please? Because I can hear conversations in the background. If you could kindly mute, please, that would be great. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is teaching Arjuna the basics, right? You're not this body. your relatives are not their body. You're not going to kill them. He explains about the different modes of material nature, how they affect the different living entities, why someone acts in a certain way, why someone thinks in a certain way, why someone worships in a certain way, why someone eats in a certain way. I mean, we see it going on, but we don't think about it. But Krishna is explaining to Arjuna so that we can understand that all these things are done because of the different modes of material nature playing in contact with the different living entities. So someone like Srila Prabhupada is able to understand what Krishna is trying to give, and he's able to give it to us like we feed a baby, right? We eat rice and dal and chapatis, but do we feed that to a baby? No. We mush up things that the baby can digest, and we spoon feed the baby. So Prabhupada was like that. He was taking all these great teachings and the essence of what Krishna was presenting and spoon feeding the conditioned souls. I mean, it is such an amazing thing, just not a common thing to be able to pick people up. If we didn't have ISKCON, if we didn't have the deity worship, if we didn't have Prabhupada's books, would any of us be able to start from scratch where Prabhupada started and give people Krishna consciousness? Most people would not be able to fall into that category. We need Prabhupada's explanations and teachings and direction, and we can give people that, and we can help them on the path. We can direct them to yoga. But Prabhupada is the one who is spoon feeding us and our teachers, and he's given us the books. We have books to preach from. We have temples to bring people to. I did a tour at the palace yesterday. I was really tired. I'd driven someone to the airport, and then my oil light came on. I had to go get an oil change, come back, and then rush up to the palace. And, I was really tired. It's really a lot of talking at the palace. So finally, the last tour, I didn't want to do the last tour. I was so hoping no one was going to be sitting there. And there was this young boy, and he looked like he was around 20 years old. And I couldn't tell. He looked Indian, but, he was like, maybe one parent is Indian and one is American or something. Anyway, so I said, did you want to go on a tour? And he said, yes. And I thought, oh, okay. I mean, I just was so tired of talking. But so I took him. I said, well, let's go. And I realized he was born in America, but he was Indian. And he was a Sikh, and he had, a spiritual background, obviously, but he had kind of put it aside, going to college. And I asked him what kind of work he was doing. He said he was working in a gambling casino, like dealing blackjack or something. I said, really? I said, but that's not what you're going to school for, is it? He said, no, it's just some job I could find. Anyway, it was interesting because the more I took him around and talked, he was like so interested. It had awakened something in him. And he said, yes, I'm going to get a Bhagavad Gita. And, I'm going to start coming here more. He's going to come for the 24-hour kirtan, because I told him about that. Anyway, I was able to light a spark in him. But if it wasn't for the palace, and if it wasn't for Prabhupada sitting there, and if it wasn't for telling him about Prabhupada, and I had books in my hand that were translated and purport by a great devotee, what would I have been able to give him? Nothing. Basically nothing. What do I know? Prabhupada's the one who knows all this. I'm just like repeating. So it's just, to me, it's amazing that Prabhupada was so able had such understanding of so much of this literature and these great souls. He quotes throughout the books all these different scriptures. And what he took, I was thinking about the nectar of devotion. Now here's a great book. It's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's written by a pure devotee. It's written by Rupa Goswami. But it's not like the Bhagavad Gita is like the basics, the ABCs. You're not this body, the spiritual world, the modes of material nature, divine and demoniac nature. It gives you a stepping stone. But then you have these other literatures. And what are they doing? These other great devotees. And Prabhupada himself writing the Nectar of Devotion. That's rules and regulations, but it's not just like rules of life. It's rules of devotional service. We've been given this jewel of devotional service. And Prabhupada's explaining in the purport he's saying, Krishna said that he who abides in me and thinks of me, of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Thus, one who is always thinking of Krishna within the core of his heart is the best yogi. By practicing best of all yoga systems, one is liberated from material condition. So we are the conditioned souls. We're used to being in matter. We're used to thinking we're this body. We're used to doing things for sense pleasure. I want to go see this. I want to taste this. Let's go here. Let's go there. This is our direction. And here you have Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Krishna's putting there in front by his conversation with Arjuna. And he's saying that the greatest thing to do is to worship me, to develop love for me, to become my devotee, to have faith in me, to surrender to me, right? That's the ultimate teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. Simply surrender to me. That's such a different platform than we find anywhere. And when people come in contact with the devotees and Prabhupada's books, that's Prabhupada has entwined through all these great literatures that he's produced and offered to humanity. He's given the path of devotional service. It's so simple, but at the same time, it's very detailed and deep. So you have a book written by Rupa Goswami. I mean, he had been in the administration of the Nawab. He had been an extremely wealthy man. He had been prominent. He had been depended on by the Nawab. He had a personal relationship, he and his brother. But what did they do? They gave it all up to live under trees in Vrindavan, writing beautiful literatures. So when we offer to people, we start them with Bhagavad Gita or something simple. You're not this body. We're trying to help elevate them and put them on this path of yoga, linking up with the Supreme. And Srila Prabhupada, many of his classes were very basic. He didn't go into all the deep, intimate details of Krishna's pastimes. He did in his books. And that we can read. But even then, you won't see him delving into certain areas of Krishna's pastimes because Look at the audience. Look at the audience. Very, very few people are going to be able to jump from what is mundane to a spiritual conjugal relationship, or we have to be careful. We've been warned to be careful. You want to help the conditioned soul get cured of his disease, but like any other medicine, it takes time, and you have to be persistent and take it on time. Actually, when I met Srila Prabhupada, he had a bottle of Ayurvedic medicine, and he put it down in front of me. And he said, this is a medicine prescribed by the authority, by the doctor. And he tells you to take it in a certain way. 2 tablets 3 times a day for 2 weeks. So this is what Prabhupada's done. He's come into the purview of Kali Yuga. That's why he's called the commander-in-chief. Who else could have done this? I mean, to come to a country where everybody is not just a little conditioned, but extremely conditioned and fallen into the most degraded. I mean, you may not even know, because of your background, how degraded the American society can be. I mean, it's astounding when I think of it. There's so many hundreds and thousands of young people, and there's so many music festivals, for instance. There's like a music festival with 20,000 young people. So many of them are so intoxicated. They're intoxicated. The music is like this sensual music, and they're listening to it like all day for 3 days and all night. And then what do you do when you listen to all the sensual music and you take intoxication? You have an intimate relationship with someone you may not even know. I mean, and then you're eating all kinds of abominable things. I try and watch cooking shows sometimes, but it's like, oh my God. They're cooking a chicken liver or a squid, or it's like, oh my God, isn't there anyone who can cook pure food? It's just this is Kali Yuga, and this is the West. And Prabhupada, just like an angel, and Krishna didn't make it easy for him. He did, but he didn't. Who would get on a cargo ship? Who would come over on a cargo ship with no money to America and not know anybody, dressed like Prabhupada was dressed? It's like inconceivable, actually. We're used to saying it, yeah, Prabhupada came over, da, 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 da. But the fact is, who could have done that? You had to have been such a well-situated, such a spiritually deep person with such a mission, and he didn't give up. He thought about going back, but he didn't give up, and he just kept going. How many of us would sit with a bunch of hippies in a park? I mean, do you know what a hippie is? Probably not really. A hippie are these young people that don't bathe, are taking all kinds of intoxications constantly, having relationships with anybody. Maybe they have a partner, but that's not necessarily, and eating anything. And you're sitting in a park on the ground, playing a bongo drum to a bunch of smelly young people that have no idea what you're talking about, but like your music. How many people would live with such austere conditions for that result? A bunch of smelly young people that don't know what you're talking about. Prabhupada was a different person. he was really serving Krishna. He was really on a mission. And he transformed these youth to great devotees. I mean, their devotional aptitude must have been there from the past, most likely. Prabhupada said that. But at the same time, what a adventure. Prabhupada was fearless. That's what Abhay Charan means, fearless. He was a fearless devotee of the Lord. He said, I don't know, Krishna, if you're going to make me a success or failure. Do with me as you want. You know, he may have died in America easily in the winters without proper clothes, walking on the streets in the snow with little shoes, not boots. You know, he was 70 some years old. This is a frail time of life. Anyway, so Prabhupada is that medium, and he's given us all these beautiful literatures. Such a great opportunity. So here's Prahlad, and he's preaching to his friends. They were demons. Oh, sons of demons, it's your duty to take to Krishna consciousness, which can burn the seed of fruit of activities artificially created by the modes of material nature and stop the flow of the intelligence in wakefulness, dreaming, deep sleep. In other words, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, his ignorance is immediately dissipated. So we have to become serious. If we want to become actually Krishna conscious, we need to do things the best we can. We need to be serious, and we need to be careful about the weeds. You know, we can water the weeds of fame, adoration, distinction. We can pride. We can water the weeds while we're trying to water the creeper of devotion. And we have to check ourselves. Are we trying to become the big famous person that everyone bows down to? Well, that's probably not the goal. As a matter of fact, it's far from the goal. So we have to pull the weeds along with watering the creeper of devotional service. And then we can actually make progress. So I was thinking I would actually read the next one, if we don't mind. Of the different processes recommended, I'm sorry, this is 7/7/29. Of the different processes recommended for disentanglement from material life, the one personally explained and accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be considered all perfect. That process is the performance of duties by which love for the Supreme Lord develops. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Among the linking processes that elevate one from bondage to material contamination, the one recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be accepted as the best. That process is clearly explained in the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This process is the best because the Lord assures, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayam suchaha. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction, do not fear. There is no need to be worried, for the Lord himself assures that he will care for his devotees and save him from reactions of sinful activities. Material bondage is a result of sinful activities. Therefore, since the Lord assures that he will dissipate the results of fruit of material activities, there's no need to be worried. This process of understanding one's position as a spirit soul and then engaging oneself in devotional service is therefore the best. The entire Vedic program is based on this principle, and one can understand it as recommended in the Vedas. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of the Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Chatusvara Upanishad 6:23. One must accept the pure devotee, the representative of God, as one's guru, and then offer him all respects one would offer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the secret of success. For one who adopts this method, the perfect process is revealed. In this verse, the word yatir, yajas, rati indicate that by offering service and surrendering to the spiritual master, one is elevated to devotional service. And by performing devotional service, one gradually becomes attached to the personality of Godhead. Because of this attachment to the Lord, one can understand the Lord. In other words, one can understand what the Lord's position is, what our position is, and what our relationship is. In all this can be understood very easily by simple method of bhakti yoga. As soon as one is situated on the platform of bhakti yoga, the root cause of one's suffering and material bondage is destroyed. This is clearly explained in the next verse, which gives the secret of success. So Krishna's giving, Bhagvatam is giving beautiful direction to accept the direction and the path given by the personality of Godhead. And then the different processes that are given by Srila Prabhupada, his direction, the ISKCON movement, it's all geared towards developing love for the Supreme Lord. And then in loving the Lord and in doing devotional activities with a motive to please the Lord, we have to check our own motives. What are we doing this for? Why are we being the temple president? Why are we being the pujari or the head pujari? Is it to get adoration for ourselves, or is it to actually please Krishna and the spiritual master? And if we're fortunate enough to have an actually fixed up spiritual master who's in the line of disciplic succession, we're so fortunate. We're so fortunate. It's so rare. Where do we see? I was taking a bunch of a family around yesterday, 2 families. And they're in America, and their children are being raised here with all this nonsense. There's so much nonsense here. It's like the American, make America great again. Well, I don't know about that. What is the American lifestyle? You probably see it, but don't really realize. It's like everyone gets up, they go to school, they're learning all this stuff that may or may not be true, but they're learning basics. And then you have all the TV programs that people watch. And then people go to all these different movies because, you have to have entertainment. And then they're going to the football games, and they're drinking beer, and they're having barbecues, and it's like this is the American lifestyle. And I'm sure it's similar all over the world. But nowhere in that mix are you going to find devotion. You'll see the churches are open. People go to church on Sunday. I remember going to the Catholic Church when I was young, and I loved going to church. I was the only one in my family that went to church, except they would go on Easter and Christmas. But it's like the idea of God was very much in the background, if at all. If at all, you see, unfortunately, so many churches that are abandoned. And the teachings are beautiful. Jesus was a beautiful soul with great teachings. But because the demoniac mode in the world is so strong, and the people who have this relentless desire for sense gratification on so many levels is prominent and they have the money, that's all we see in our face. Everywhere we look, every billboard, every magazine, every movie, every TV, everywhere. It's, enjoy this, taste this. Although what you're enjoying is not good for you, certainly not devotional. It's like swimming upstream. Devotional service is totally against the current. But it can, if we use our knowledge of what we have and we continue with festivals and book distribution and things that will attract the conditioned souls, then they will get a taste and they will get a pinch of knowledge, at least, of that there's another side of life. That's what they get when they come to New Vrindavan. They get inundated and they love the place, the peace that's here. New Vrindavan is just a place. It's not something that's cannot be duplicated. There can be other, we have Gita Nagari. There can be other communities. There can be other farms. There can be other projects. You just need to get the right people together and start them. New Vrindavan didn't start off with 3,000 acres and the Palace of Gold and a restaurant and gift shop. And it started off with a 100-acre parcel landlocked up on a hill with hardly any electricity, no heat. And you have to, in a pig barn where one devotee lived, and they cooked on wood. This was New Vrindavan. It didn't start off like this. So who knows what anyone can do. It could start off small, Krishna willing. The preaching will go on in so many dynamic ways. Look at what people like Gopal Krishna Maharaj have done. Established temples all over India. Beautiful. Not one-room shanties. And look at what ISKCON is doing, renovating where Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, where Prabhupada took birth, renovating so many different temples of our Gaudiya line. Whatever faults there are with the people within ISKCON, those are we're conditioned souls. There's going to be people with attitude and with, doing things not up to par, for sure. That's always been there. But look at the great lotus flower of peace and the fragrance of devotion that's emanated from ISKCON. It's just so beautiful. Prabhupada just planted a beautiful seed. It's amazing, actually. And then look at all these so-called hippies and unqualified people. Look at them now, opening temples, preaching incredibly empowered people. As they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. So these people have surrendered to Krishna and tried to do a service, and Krishna's empowered them. And so things go on. Anyway, to me, it's very exciting. And here's Prahlad. He's talking to his demon friends, hoping that they will pick up the torch of devotion. I wonder if any of them did. You don't ever read that some of them started opening temples. I don't know. Anyway, it's a beautiful part of the Bhagvatam. And Prabhupada has the vision and the ability to take these literatures and give a full purport, to spoon feed us so we can understand what's going on, who these people are, what the attitude is, what we could do, what should be done, what else Krishna said about the subject matter. So special. So special. All right, so I think it's time for me to stop. Hope I didn't put anyone to sleep. And my apologies for being late. Anuradha started texting me about the Radhastami celebration here, which I have set up for many years. I've made the festival, and I just got carried away and forgot about the time. So my apologies for being late. And then I couldn't find the link. Took me a minute. Okay, is anyone there?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was waiting if somebody has any question or comment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this lecture and wonderful class. As always, and sharing about Prabhupada. And what are the preparations for Radhashtami, Mataji, at New Vrindavan? Would you like to share?
Any what?
Preparation for Radhashtami celebration.
Well, I mean, last year they just had the simple program, whatever, lunch and a feast, but previously Malati had started this whole festival where I'm sure you remember we offer flowers, incense, ghee lamps, everyone in the whole temple. It's all set up so everyone can offer a ghee lamp, an incense, a flower, and a balloon and a vrata, a prayer or just whatever. And then it was stopped last year. I think it was just last year it was stopped, and the local devotees were like really not happy. So now it's because, I mean, I don't blame management. Management, my God, we have so many people coming now, so many people, and our festivals are just huge. And they go on like Janmashtami's 2 weekends in a row. And it's just pushing people to their limit, our staff to the limit. And then to have a big Radhastami celebration and a festival of colors. And I mean, there's only so much we can do. So to celebrate Radhastami, yes, but to have a big thing, a big festival, no, they didn't want to do. They couldn't do it. So anyway, so she was asking me what I thought, and I guess hoping I could help out. So we're going to try and do something, maybe not as elaborate, maybe no balloons because they're not ecologically good for the planet. That's her thought anyway, which it's true. So I'm trying to think of different things. We can offer flowers, we can offer fruits. We can offer different things. Everyone can individually offer different things to Radharani during the arti in the evening. So anyway, I know in some temples they make cakes. Everybody makes a cake, like in Durban, I guess in England, different places and then they have like 50 cakes that the individuals have made for Radhastami, and it's amazing. But she said maybe we can do that, but it's the 4th already, and Radhastami is just around the corner. I don't think people would have time to prepare to make a nice cake. I think so, maybe next year. But anyway, yeah, we're planning. That's one of the items of devotional service in Rupa Goswami talks about, to observe the holy days. And I read myself, it was either him or Sanatan Goswami. I believe it was Rupa Goswami. They had kept, the money that they had, the whole boatload of coins, and Rupa Goswami kept a certain amount of that gold. And he had his instruction from Lord Chaitanya, this is what I heard from Indradumna Swami's lecture, was to take care of the devotees that were in Vrindavan. And in doing that, he held all the festivals with pomp, with wonderful prasadam and worship. So those things cost money. So he used that money for that. anyway, it's a wonderful season, this particular time of the year. Of Balaram's appearance day, and then Janmashtami, and then Radhastami, and then Govardhan Puja. It's a nice time of the year.
Yes. Yes, Mataji. Yeah, last year, like we were for 2-3 years Radhashtami day. So it was so wonderful. Evening time when everyone lights the lamp and make a wish and give the balloons to for the altar, and all these services you do, Mataji. So thank you so much for doing this service.
Well, I mean, I've been involved in festivals here for years
Yeah, yeah,
lately, but it's something that I love to do.
yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
A little service.
Yeah, but it gives so fascinating and happiness to all the devotees who attend the New Vrindavan Radhashtami festival.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So let's give obeisances to all the Vaishnavas and Mataji. Vancha kalpatarubhyaksha kripa sindhuvaya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय, नमाचार्य शिला ठाकुर की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, हर ग्रेस जय श्री माता जी की जय. थैंक यू सो मच माता जी. हरे कृष्णा.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Have a good day.
You too, माता जी. हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.